Welcome everyone to the Motyv Podcast. My name is Shayden Bertagnolli. I'm here with Blake Altum. We're good dudes. You're a good dude.
Thanks, man. You too.
We just got done recording another one, and man, we're just in a good mood. So we were talking to each other, saying, all right, what should we record? And is there another one we could do that could help men? And this session came to my mind. And so for those listening, this is I am not breaking confidentiality. I've been given permission. I'm still going to guard this person's their privacy. But Candace over here too. She's our DJ. She's our a lot of things. But she even this last few weeks has told me that she's sadly been in touch with, I think, 3 or 4 men who have taken their lives. And it's just been it's a thing, right? February should be men's mental health or men's suicide awareness month. February is a really hard month for men. And so I thought to myself, this session that I had with a man a few weeks ago needs to be talked about, because men, we try to keep everything in. And what this person did is went through a process with me of just basically vomiting their entire narrative and vomiting their entire mental, just everything that was going on for them in their mind. And this person, we'll just call him Joe. Joe's been having some, does well in the life, does really well, but definitely had some tough stuff going on in his life, and hasn't really had a lot of place to turn. And so he's just had so much buildup inside of him. And he came in for a 2-hour appointment, and we were able to talk through a lot of things. And we got to this point where I said, hey man, what do you say we just write down as many of your dishonest and crappy thoughts as we can. And so we went ahead and did that. And it was a very liberating experience for him. And so I want to share those with you. But first off, Blake, any thoughts come to your mind just as far as the men's experience of I would say just their lack of control with their mind? And
sure, but it ties into a lot of what we're taught, like trained or programmed to think as men. And this isn't like hey, feel bad for men. Like, no, not at all.
Yep.
Because we all have to be strong at times. But we're kind of taught, you said, like, men hold it in. Men hold this stuff in. Mm-hmm. When they go through really hard times. It's like, deal with it, dude. Like, man up. Yeah. Like, we hear these messages. We've said them to others. We've said them to the TV, watching a sports game or something. It's like, toughen up, which, again, it's not wrong in certain moments. But I guess that's where my thought went when you said, like, he's been going through this hard time. And I know Joe too. So I know some of his story, and holy cow, it sucks. It really, really, really sucks, mm-hmm. But he's kept it to himself, and he's not. You can't do this stuff by yourself, guys. Yeah. Like, you cannot. And that's okay.
It makes sense that most men are like, but what do I do? Like, where would I even turn, Yeah.
Yeah, because it hasn't been a focus. It's, there's a lot out there right now on, men and specific problems that men face, and, men are being attacked and all this stuff, which, again, I don't want to minimize that. It's true, mm-hmm. but we're not coming from like a victim place. We're coming from a solution place. Like,
exactly.
That I want that to be known. We're coming from a solution place. We don't want to like pile up all of this negativity stuff, and it just doesn't feel right. Even if some of the facts exist,
yep.
But like, that's not where we're coming from. We want solution focused approach. Yeah. And so, I think that men think, one, that there's not help, that there's not the right kind of help, or that they even should seek for it, because everybody, like we said last time, like, shoulds on themselves. So men mm-hmm. should be tough. Men should deal with it on their own. Men should shut up, put your head down, work. So.
Okay. Well, my hope for this this podcast, everything's a session now, dude.
Is that a Freudian slip or something? Is that what it's called?
I do it all the time now. Like, after the mission, everything was an appointment, and now for me, everything's a session.
That's funny.
But my hope is anyone listening, male or female, can obviously liberation set themselves free in that they're not alone. They can understand that their mind is the most powerful conduit of your reality. So what you create upstairs is what you're going to see outside of you.
Yeah. I
And
really like that you used the word narrative, right?
okay,
Like when you went through his, you said kind of irrational, crappy thoughts in the narrative that he's created.
yeah,
Like you're right. Our minds are so powerful,
mm-hmm.
you know, and
Yep.
we are really good at stories, whether or not you know it. We are really good at like,
And that was
we're filling in the gaps of the parts that we don't know.
we do that, and that was his experiences. Most of this was I didn't even know I was really thinking all of these because we got going, and then it kind of stopped for a minute, if I remember right. And then I was like, nope, let's go into these types of these type. How many statements do you have? Like, tell me your should thoughts. So he starts going on those and labels and like all of the different thoughts, and it just kept going and going, and it was, again, if we had a bucket to vomit in, it would have been the equivalent of him just puking over and over and over. And everybody knows when you're sick, and puking is the best thing. Like it sucks, but like when you're done, it's like, okay, I feel so much better now. Well, your brain is the same thing.
Yeah.
It's so much garbage in it that has been placed there sometimes for years, and the same sentence keeps coming up over and over and over. And when they're repeated, that's what we call belief, right? So when your thoughts are stored and they're repeated over and over and over again, that becomes a belief. And so now you're not just messing with a simple narrative. You're messing with like tattoos. Like your narrative's being tattooed on you.
Yeah.
And like that's not good. You know, we have to.
Well,
we
our
have to
brain
know.
carves pathways that are physical.
Yep.
And so, and the good news is you can recarve those or carve new ones and you know, develop different synapses that finally fire off that are with a lot of work, right? Because they're habits. But I like the idea of, and it's not necessarily related to Joe, but like when you can write things down, because sometimes it's just straight up organization of your thoughts.
Yeah.
Like writing is incredibly powerful. It's weird. I had a way hard day last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I don't know why. But when I started to write down, like actually organize my thoughts, I started to write down a list of the things that unknowingly had been on my mind. And it's just like tasks or trips or organizing like certain financial decisions and this and that. I started writing them down. I was like, oh yeah, no wonder I've been so crappy today. Like I didn't know there were like 10 pretty significant things on my mind all at once.
Yep.
I just thought all of a sudden I was having a hard day.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And that's like 90% of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that extra step of writing.
So writing takes a few minutes. Like
yes, it
my
does.
point is that when I don't know, man, like there's so many different ways we could go with this, but I want to hear the list because it's
long.
Writing is very powerful.
Yep.
It's very powerful.
And it's momentum. Once it started going, it just kept going. So
but it's work.
People that are listening, I hope this intrigues you. I hope it's a little insight into some like how therapy can be, if you've never been. But I also hope you will take on this compassion role. And I hope as you listen to them, I hope you'll think to yourself, like what's coming up for you naturally that you wish if you had sat in that session, just even with a total stranger, right? This guy's a stranger to everyone listening here. So what does your heart do when you hear these thoughts? And like, especially for you guys listening, what would you love to say if you could back him up? Like if you could help him, like what would be the thoughts you'd give him
Basically,
back?
if he was your friend.
Yeah. Treat him like a friend. And then the work you have to do is, why is it I'm so willing to give so much compassion to a stranger and not to myself?
Yep.
Right. And that's that next step in most people's lives.
Yeah.
So a lot of hope for this, that could definitely change your life in some way, but also just, who knows what it'll do for you. So here we go. So we sat down and threw it up on my TV, and I had my iPad out just like this, and we started writing. So he said, I will never be that happy again. My children don't want me as much as their mother. I'm not good enough. I'm a bad person. I don't want to do this or be here anymore. I should kill myself. No one gets it. Nobody understands. I'm just the villain. I'm sad all the time.
Let's stop on the villain one. I know Joe. You know Joe. Does he seem like a villain?
Nope.
Not at all. In fact, he's put up with a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and he's not perfect, you know, like decisions, you know, but like.
So it's so cool because
villain?
when he wrote that down, there was no hesitation.
Yeah.
And then once we were finished, without me even doing any other work, because what we'd usually do with this is like go back through and one by one we face each thought, like
and identify some
tons
thinking
of work.
errors associated with that thought.
But that one, I think, if I remember right, he could laugh at. Like it was the ridiculousness of it hit him, and that he was freed. And so that was an easy one for him. But yes, I love that you brought that up. I'm sad all the time. I want to fix things to go back to the way it was, which isn't super negative, but just, yeah. I should be working out. I should be working harder. I should be eating better. I should be more disciplined. I should be happier. I should be content. I shouldn't want a different job the way I do. I don't know how to fix my mistakes or make my life right. I should be more empathic and care more. I should be less but judgmental or harsh. I should be able to control my emotions. I don't know what to choose. I'm fat. I look like I'm obese, pudgy, and porky. I don't understand why my marriage is the way it is. All my choices were taken away from me. I'm the bad guy. Nobody sees the other people in my life doing anything wrong. I should be able to get over it. I lie to myself. The pain I go through never goes away. You just have to learn to live with it. That one, you see the hopelessness continuing.
Yeah.
Like it's just deepening. And then that one like capped it, where it's like the pain I go through never goes away. You should just learn to live with it. Like,
well, and
which is better than like suicide.
Oh, for sure. And you go back a few, I should be able to get over it.
Mm-hmm. Which again, we can't talk about what's going on in his life, but yeah, like,
yeah, if you knew
this never though, like this, this never, that's a powerful one. And those are really common, right? In men's, we think that way. So we get in shoulds, and we can go back through these that way, but like there's a lot of shoulds. We went through those on purpose. And then he got into some questions, which aren't always like a way of assessing your negativity. You can usually find the dishonest stuff in the questions. Like, why does this always happen to me? Right. The statement is actually, this always happens to me.
Right.
So, then he says things, I lie to myself, which isn't necessarily a dishonest thought, but it's so short and to the point that there's no playground in it, right? There's
no context, and there's no amount. There's no, there's no qualifier where it's like, I lie to myself. Well, me too. Right. But it's not a problem for you. It might be a problem. You lie to yourself too often, things like that. Like, but that statement by itself is so all or nothing that it's defeating.
Yep, exactly.
If you get to a place where you can say, yeah, I lie to myself here and there, and then I work through it and blah, blah, blah. Like that's work. And then you put yourself in the category of everyone else.
Yeah.
Which is refreshing sometimes when you can relate.
True.
I tell people, like, if you walk through these, you can identify thinking errors, or cognitive distortions. And a lot of you guys listening are familiar with that. But if you're not, it's just a list of 10 things, and there's more, but there's kind of these 10 general ones that kind of cover the way that we lie to ourselves. I call them lies.
Yeah, I do too.
They're not always like lies straight up, but they're defeating and they're not productive.
They're half truths.
But in most of them, all of them could be lies, depending on how we use them. So you could go through these things, and when I teach people about thinking errors, I call them lies. Pretty much straight up.
Yep.
Right.
Which I do on purpose because I don't like calling them negative. Like some of them are negative, but it's not the point.
Well,
because the doctrine for me is the truth when you know the truth will set you free. So the point to me is like truth. That's the liberation focus.
Yeah.
Is like, the liberating focus is I have to find truth. If I just treated my wife in a terrible way, sometimes thinking a positive thought. So that's where some people teach it as a positive and negative. It's like, well, I'm not going to say some rainbow thought to myself.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, so it's more truthful. It's like, no, the way I just treated Shelly isn't okay, but it doesn't mean I'm a terrible husband. And it doesn't mean she should leave me. It just means I've made a mistake and I accounted for it and I need to figure it out, but it doesn't make me a bad person. That's not all rainbows.
Right.
But it's truthful. Yeah. Whereas I suck as a husband is dishonest.
How weird is yeah, maybe there's a philosophical discussion in there too. Because on those mood logs, you got, you know, there's mood logs, guys, that if you're listening, there's an intervention called a mood log that we like to use. Well, you have like your own name for it. I forgot what it is, but basically it has like negative thought column, which are the ones we're reading right now, and then a positive thought column. I do what you do. I keep the word positive there, but I explain, no, this is a truth column. You know, this is like the full truth column.
Yep.
And, but now that we're talking about it, I wonder if there's a case to be made that positivity is truth, if it's true positivity. You know what I mean? We can be like falsely, weirdly positive or like kind of head in the sand positive, but.
Well, especially men.
Yeah.
Like men, that whole positive thing doesn't really jive a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Even from the get-go of teaching it that way, I've seen resistance.
I tell people,
it's like, no, tell the truth.
Yeah. And I tell people on the positive column, I'm like, we're not talking about some happy, like, thought that's going to make you feel better. No, we're using a truth to refute.
Yes, the other
the
one.
negative, the lie.
So he had a few more. He said, he said, I wish I had some of my friends' situations that are still hard, but he's like, I wish I had theirs. So a lot of denial now. This isn't supposed to be my story. My life wasn't supposed to be this way. That's a tough one.
Whoa.
Yeah, a lot of denial. So these are thoughts that will create a lot of depression. We can go back through some of those and kind of say that. But yeah, anytime you're in, so this isn't supposed to be my story. My life wasn't supposed to turn out this way. That you can hear the denial in that, and that's the recipe of depression. So there has to be something better than this. Again, more denial. I don't believe that my life will ever get better. Hopelessness, denial. The idea of who I am isn't this, and I won't accept this as my life. Which that's cool. A little bit of fight in some ways, but I've been robbed. So my life has basically been robbed. That was where we ended. So a solid, I mean, there's a good 30-something thoughts there at least. So we didn't even get to the honest thoughts. It took a long time to just sit there, and he felt a lot of emotion. But it was so neat to see him go through that and feel it was like super emotional in the beginning, if I remember right. And sorry, dude, Joe is what I called him, right? Joe. Yeah. Sorry, Joe, if you're thinking of this and I'm saying it incorrectly, but that's just how I experienced it. There was an honesty in the thoughts occurring more and more as he went on, as in like he was like regurgitating word for word more as what was in his mind, but then the emotions were beginning to dissipate. And so in a better way. So any of them stand out to you? I know there's a lot of them, but.
Yeah, the villain one and the shoulds.
Yeah, a lot of shoulds.
A lot of the shoulds.
So a simple trick with shoulds is when you can is turn them into next times and coulds. That's my advice always. If you can, it's should. If you think about it, is quite arrogant. It's such an assumption that the perfect thing should have occurred, and that's why I'm saying like I should be happier. I should be content. It's like, well, you're not. But you're not happier. You're not content. And so to be able to like work through that and say next time this thing happens, or next time this stuff hits me, I want to do this instead. I'd rather focus on this or whatever.
Or I will practice this.
Yep.
What about this idea of, and maybe this is for everyone, we've all either heard it and received the message or said it to others to get over it.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Exactly.
Like, what does it mean? What does it mean get over something? Like, what's the truth? What could the truth be when someone says you probably need to get over it?
Stop feeling. That's what it means.
But what would be
But I hear what you mean.
What's a good truth? What is it like?
Oh, for like to fight
if
it?
someone got
over
over something and we said it in the right way, what would it be?
I would change the entire phrase, I think.
Totally.
In my head,
But
right?
what's
like,
what's the truthful version of get over it?
Whatever happened, what this thing that happened to me has been really difficult, and it's creating a lot of confusion and emotion in me that I'm actually like find myself denying.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that in time and with the right people probably in my life, that the emotions will actually go to a place where I can tolerate it and handle it. And thank goodness that I have a God that I believe in that can help me through this. But as far as getting over it, I don't know what that means, but if I can learn something from this, then it will create meaning for me.
Totally. So the first word that comes to mind, what does it mean to get over something, is accept it. Like, acceptance is huge. These things have happened to me, which is because there in that statement, there doesn't have to be a victim stance. Mm-hmm. Some things have happened to us. Yeah. Hurtful things happened to us. Other people have hurt us. Totally. Somebody crashed into us. Somebody's done this or that, right? Like, these things have happened to me. When it comes to relationships, it's like, yes, some things have happened to me, or I've made some decisions, either or, that now have created a really sucky, crappy, hard, difficult situation. Yeah. And it's emotional. But I have to accept it, which I think in your statement, there was acceptance, you know. It's basically, these things have happened to me, or I've made these decisions, and whether it's a self-inflicted pain or from others, like, this situation is real. It's happening, or it's happened. I need to accept it, and now I need to work through it and find maybe not even solutions, but resolutions and processing, and then new habits, and then new ways of thinking. Everything you said, except, you know, using my faith to get over this trial again, another trial.
So if you heard me, it's like I gave a paragraph to a sentence, and that's normal. So you'll find that in much of Satan's whisperings to you, that, like, if I go through this list, I'll bet you 90% of these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll bet 90% of them are like 8 words or less, maybe 10 words or less. Mm-hmm. And many of them are very quick, like 5 or 4. I'm sad all the time, like so quick. And that's Satan to a T, getting in your mind and just saying you're an idiot. See, we don't even have that many labels on here.
Dude, think
you're an
about
idiot, you
this
suck,
real
like
fast.
so quick.
Yeah.
Yep. What I'm saying is that, but your fight back usually isn't as quick. Sometimes, but most of the time, it's like a paragraph of data, of spiritual knowledge, of I call that punching, when you're using truth and character traits and attributes that you have and beliefs you have to fight against. But like you said, we also have to do what I call hugging, which is accept things but in our way, and in a kindful, compassionate way. Just like, you know, if I mistreat Shelly, I have to accept, yep, I did. I treated her. I can't tell myself, no, I didn't.
It's her, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Like, that's just denial.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I did. I mistreated her. Like, I spoke to her in a way I shouldn't speak to her.
Yeah.
Or that I would rather not speak to her if I leave out the should. Yeah. That I've wanted to do differently.
Well, then I think in those cases, shoulds or shouldn'ts sometimes are not thinking errors.
Yeah.
Because there's things we should and should not do.
Morals and laws.
Yeah.
That's the rule for me.
But just real quick, and I don't know if you can tie this back, but and it could just be a standalone comment, but you talked about Satan's whisperings to us. And who else whispers to us?
Holy Ghost.
Yeah. It's crazy. So there's the trick. And that's how he tricks us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
These short little statements, you suck.
Forever.
Dude, you suck. And the Holy Ghost might be like, hey, you need to smile at that person.
But Blake, isn't that me saying it? It's in my voice.
Yeah, there's no Satan, there's no God.
That's exactly what happens. Mm-hmm. Is that it's like, but it's in my head voice.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it in first person.
Yeah, he's good at it.
He's so good. I'm like, yeah, well, who placed it there to begin with? Mm-hmm. Okay, so sure, maybe you think it's like all you. It had to be there from somewhere.
Yep.
And that's
But
where give credit where credit is due. And I love it for men, but women too. But like fire up. That's what I love. Like wake the freak up.
yeah.
Like you're a warrior. Like fight.
Yep.
Like if he was, I love the visual of like if he was in your face, man to man, like in your face, would you just be like, yeah, I suck? Like, would you just stand there and take it?
Yeah.
Most men hopefully would like fight
or
walk away or whatever, get out of there, get some help.
Mm-hmm.
But like when he's invisible, when it's you, when you're your enemy now, when he's made you your enemy, I'm the villain.
Yeah.
Then it's, now you're fighting against you. Oh, and what could be tempting after that? If you are your worst enemy and you can't escape yourself, I wonder what the temptation could be.
Yeah, you're kind of a piece of crap. You're feeling really bad right now, and you should because of your decision. So you know how you can feel better?
End it.
End it, or, go look at some porn or
porn. But like, that's where he's leading you.
Yourself.
Start with the end in mind. That's where he's leading you. That's the end.
He'd like for you to not have a body.
Yep. He'd love it. And it's graphic, right? Like I hate it. I hate to be like fear mongers where I'm not trying to be, but I love waking up the fight and being like, you know what? You got to wake this up. Because if someone is right, I love calling it a bully. Like that's how I teach it. Fight the bully. Like he's an absolute bully. He's the best bully out of all because he's so invisible.
Yeah.
Make him real.
Yeah. And sometimes it's us, again, we have bad habits in our thinking patterns and things like that, but sometimes you're the bully to yourself too. You know what I mean?
I just think it's less than you think.
I agree. Totally.
I think it's less than you think.
And either way, you got to fight it.
Yep. So questions are hard. Questions are, he doesn't have many what ifs in here. The what ifs are more of like an anxious thought. A quick tip on what ifs is always answer what ifs. So that's the problem with what ifs is you leave them into the abyss.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, what if nobody ever cares about me again? Like you have to answer it.
Mm-hmm.
Like answer it. Like, well, first off, it's very unlikely because number one, I have a lot of people who care about me, even though it doesn't seem like it right now. But you can also answer it in the funny way of like, well, if that didn't happen, I guess all mankind would be gone because if no one's going to care about me ever again, like, did I remove myself from everyone? But you have to try to answer it into the affirmative, into any way that is good.
Yeah.
So,
but even when you think no one's left, there's always one person.
Yeah, exactly.
All the time.
All the time.
And you have to know that because there will be times, even if people are sitting right next to you or in a crowded room, you'll still feel lonely sometimes.
Yep.
But there's always Christ. He's always there.
Yep. Any other thoughts on these? On these thoughts?
No, I think, I the should statements are really tough, man. What would you tell a friend? We're always way more compassionate with our friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely not hang out with you if you were a villain.
Like you want my demise.
Why did I want to come out with you tonight?
Yeah.
If you're a villain. Like I do not want to be around villains.
Yeah.
It's like it's simple to others, but we don't do it to ourselves. And then you could go in so many directions. Like what are some of the benefits of thinking that you're a villain?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yep, we hold on to them. Well, and the idea is like if any man ever dared with a friend or whatever, or someone to open up about these, then you would find that, more often than not, you're going to hear the other person say, dude, I've totally thought those same things. And that's where it becomes really powerful. Now you're facing it in a real way that actually connects you rather than your perfection trying to connect you. It's now like the things you struggle with that are actually connecting you to other people too.
If you look at some of the clients you've seen over the years, when they go, holy cow, there's other people like this. There's compassion in sharing and having others share with you these things. It's not like you sit around and have a pity party. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But like, how was your day today? Or no, how about when you ask men, how you doing today? I'm all right. Nope. They're not. All right or okay to a man most of the time. There's something going on. It might not be huge, but it might just be a crappy part of their day. But if you're like, how you doing? I'm all right. No.
Yeah.
You can almost count on a man saying that not being fully okay.
Good point.
And so if that, even if that's something you get out of this podcast, everybody, is like, if a man says all right or okay, they're just going through the motions. They might have had a bad day. Something's on their mind.
Yep. Totally.
That doesn't exclude women, but in general, I think that men are kind of like that. I'm all right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let you know that my day sucked because I'm strong.
Yeah. I think the last thing I would say about the list is, in general, one of the first errors we make is being in a very black and white way, where things are just all or nothing and either or, like it's just good or bad. And so just massaging your own thoughts is kind of the word I use, like just massaging your thoughts out of its black and white nature. If that alone you could do in a more habitual way, you're going to make some drastic changes to your mood. You know, black and white thinking is definitely is a recipe for black and white mood issues too. And so if everything's all good and then it's all bad, you're going to swing a lot. And so if we can massage that out a little bit and realize rarely in life is everything just all bad or all good. It's just how it is.
How often do you, not you, the listener, how often do you let a 5 or 10 or even a 30-second interaction ruin your whole day?
Yeah, that's true.
Out of a 16-hour waking day, if you're getting enough sleep. Let's say 16 hours.
Yeah.
And you have something crappy happen at 10 a.m. and you still have 12 more hours to be awake.
You know what's funny
crazy.
too? If thinking of time, how long you think about this list?
I'm not very good at thinking about time.
But you think about this list.
Just kidding.
How quickly could the average person have every one of those thoughts go through their brain? How long do you think that would take?
Like 5 seconds.
It's like 5 seconds. It's so short. That's the danger in it.
Like,
and so
fast.
you've heard me say it before. I'll say it again. Everyone has around this many. They probably have 30, 40 thoughts that are so common to you. Like they've been there for so long in your life, or maybe something really bad's happened recently and they're starting to recur over and over and over again. Either way, if you will do what he's doing, which is get them on paper and listen to what Blake and I just said, if you'll actually take some time and think about what doctrine do you know, what truths do you understand, what character traits do you possess, and what good do you know of that could fight these in a way, just by doing that alone is going to help your whole being feel so much better. And it's not some trick. It's real. Like it's absolutely real, because our lives should have more hope. They absolutely should have. And when we're doing things that are destroying our hope and thinking in ways, we have to learn to take control of that. Again, we know way more about George Washington than we do how to think and control our own mind. Yeah. Nothing against George Washington. I'm grateful for the dude. But the fact that I probably had many tests about him in school, and yet I graduated without ever someone teaching me how to think
and feel
like it's just again, I'm not going to say I'm a victim to the school, whatever, like it is what it is. But this is a skill you can't let go of. And your kids, if you're a parent, they need to know it. So, because the moment it's always happening. They're always thinking. So,
Sweet.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Oh, by the way, quick announcement. So if you're listening to this live, we have another deadline for May 1st to start our next cohort of men or group of men. We're looking for 10 to 12 men who want to start up and take their minds really seriously, like we just did today, and really break through and overcome pornography permanently and commit themselves for 6 months to doing that with a group of dudes that are awesome. Let us know. So
you want to transform and liberate yourself from some of your issues, then reach out. What's the number? You always have it memorized.
435-315-2520. So you can call or text that number, or you can email us at assistant@motyv.com. So,
and please do. Yeah. It's been really cool. It'll help you.
Oh yeah. The guys that are in it right now are doing great.
Yep.
Okay. See you, everyone.
See ya.